On this Saturday night, warning signs ignored. Why ChatGPT banned the Tumbler Ridge shooter months before the attack.
If we don't have a public policy to sort of help regulate this, we're just going to continue to run into these situations.
The reasons behind the ban and why the company did not notify police. Tariff top-up. The U.S. president increases his new levies after the Supreme Court ruled the previous tariffs illegal. What it means for Canadian businesses.
When I did land the run and I was kind of skiing into the corral, I was basically just mind blown.
Plus, ending on a high note.
Of course, there's disappointment, but also pride, and also I'm grateful for it all.
Canada captures more hardware in the final hours of the Olympic Games as hockey fans prepare for an epic showdown.
Global National. Reporting tonight, Jeff Semple.
Good evening and thank you for joining us. We begin with disturbing new details surrounding the Tumbler Ridge tragedy. OpenAI, the American company behind ChatGPT, revealed that it banned the account of the mass murderer 7 months before the attack. Jesse Van Rootselaar shot and killed 8 people in the small BC community, including students and an education assistant at Tumbler Ridge Secondary School. OpenAI now says Van Rootselaar's account was flagged by its automated tools and human investigators who monitor for comments on the platform that could lead to violence. But the company did not notify police until it was too late. Many in the community are now demanding answers as to why that information was withheld. In a statement, Canada's Minister for Artificial Intelligence said the government is in contact with OpenAI to discuss new safety measures. Angela Jung has our top story tonight.
More than 7 months before the mass shooting in Tumbler Ridge, Jesse Van Rootselaar's OpenAI account was flagged, then banned for misusing ChatGPT. According to the Wall Street Journal, OpenAI employees debated whether to alert Canadian police. An OpenAI spokesperson telling Global News, "We determined at the time the case did not meet our threshold because we did not identify credible or imminent planning." Why Van Rootselaar's account initially set off alarms is unclear.
If our well-being relies on the commercial sector, almost near exclusively in this domain, we're screwed.
This sociology professor says that's why it's critical federal policymakers define what a credible and imminent threat looks like and fill the gap between company interests and public safety.
So if we don't have a public policy to sort of help regulate this, we're just going to continue to run into these situations.
Global News has obtained screenshots of a video game believed to be created by the killer, showing a character running through the mall, shooting people. In reality, Van Rootselaar later killed 8 people, including 6 children, and injured 25. BCRCMP say as part of their investigation, physical and digital evidence are being collected, including a review of social media and online activities. Coincidentally, one day after the mass killing, a BC government representative met with OpenAI officials to discuss possibly opening a Canadian office. Premier David Eby's office telling Global News shortly after that meeting, OpenAI requested the contact information for the RCMP, but did not say whether or not it had potential evidence to the Tumbler Ridge shooting. BCRCMP did confirm that the platform reached out in the following days. Jeff?
Angela Jung in Port Moody, BC. Thanks, Angela. The funeral for one of the victims of the Tumbler Ridge tragedy, 12-year-old Kylie Smith, has now been canceled due to threats made to her family. Smith's father says direct threats were made to the family's safety by a, quote, very dangerous person, and that the family cannot risk any further endangerment to this community. In a statement to Global News, the RCMP confirms that it is aware of those threats that have circulated online and within the community, and it is investigating. The RCMP says a safety plan for the family and community is now in place. And an update on another Tumbler Ridge victim, Maya Gabala, who was shot in the head and the neck. The 12-year-old remains in BC's Children's Hospital. A family member and organizer of a GoFundMe page posted today that Maya has opened her right eye and is responding. She is moving her hand and leg on her right side. U.S. President Donald Trump is increasing his new global tariff from 10% up to 15%. The move announced this morning comes after Friday's Supreme Court ruling struck down Trump's previous tariffs as illegal. The president is now relying on different legislation to enact new temporary levies. Now, most Canadian exports are protected from tariffs by our free trade agreement. But as Candice Cole reports, some Canadian business owners are breathing easier.
The Supreme Court's ruling on tariffs is deeply disappointing.
Saturday, U.S. President Donald Trump announced new 15% temporary tariffs on global imports to the United States, up from an initial 10% in response to Friday's 6-3 Supreme Court ruling that most of his sweeping tariffs put into place last year are illegal. Tariffs that have had an outsized impact on small business owners like Jeff Grove of Railway City Hobbies in St. Thomas.
In a normal business year or normal business week, I ship roughly 10 packages to the United States. Since then, it's basically nil.
As Grove explains, he and other small business owners in Canada that import products from China get hit with tariffs in the U.S., resulting in cost increases for both the seller and the buyer. Small businesses in the U.S. have also been feeling the squeeze.
The cost of just about everything has gone up. But with the tariff now, it's more or less double certain inventory that I paid $1,100 for last year. This year I'm paying $1,700.
The question now is what's next? With Trump's sweeping tariffs now null and void, many are seeking a refund for hundreds of thousands of dollars lost in import fees. But the Supreme Court's ruling does not give any guidance on how these businesses could be made whole.
The mechanics of that will be pushed down to the Court of International Trade that will implement the Supreme Court's order, and then it will be further pushed down to customs.
Grove says the capped tariff at 15% will provide some relief and allow for predictability, but other costs still remain.
There's processing, there's brokerage, there's disbursement fees that didn't exist when the de minimis was around.
Trump's new tariffs can only be in effect for 5 months without an extension from Congress. However, most Canadian imports are exempt because they fall under the Canada-U.S.-Mexico trade agreement. Candice Cole, Global News, Washington.
It's now been revealed that the billionaire owner of the Ambassador Bridge, which connects Windsor, Ontario with Detroit, Michigan, donated $1 million to a super PAC devoted to President Trump. And that donation came less than a month before Trump threatened to block the opening of the nearby Gordie Howe International Bridge. The New York Times first reported the revelation. Matthew Maroon, whose family has operated the Ambassador Bridge for decades, has lobbied against the creation of a competing bridge on that busy corridor. Maroon reportedly met with Trump's Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick just hours before Trump posted online threatening to block the new bridge, which was paid for by the Canadian government. The White House denies Maroon's donation has anything to do with Trump's stance. Democrats on the U.S. House Oversight Committee are now launching an investigation. And an update on another diplomatic spat with the U.S. Transport Canada has now certified 2 newer models of American-made Gulfstream business jets, allowing them to fly here in Canada. It comes 3 weeks after President Trump threatened to ground and tariff Canadian-made planes unless several models of the Gulfstream jets were given the green light. The Canadian government still has not certified the Gulfstream G700 and 800 models, which have previously been flagged over de-icing concerns. Well, the Canadian Olympic Committee has just named speed skaters Valerie Malte and Stephen Dubois as our flag bearers for tomorrow's closing ceremony after what was a busy final full day of competition.
See, this is where we always screw up.
At this curling club in BC, amateur curlers were glued to the televisions as Canadian men's and women's teams both played for and won medals. And they weren't the only ones taking home the hardware today. Our Mike Armstrong has been following the games for us from Milan. Hi, Mike.
Well, Jeff, let's start with curling, where Canada won not 1 medal, but 2. The women's team opened the day in the bronze medal match, and Rachel Homan's rink made sure this Olympic story ended differently than the last 2. After coming up short of the podium in previous games, Homan gritted out a tough 10-7 win. The U.S. took the lead 3 times in the match, but Canada scored 5 points in the last 3 ends for the victory.
We fought hard all week to get ourselves into medal contention, and It's hard to believe I'd be this proud for a bronze medal, but I really am to my core.
Now, on the men's side, a different color medal, gold. Great Britain led in the 8th end, but the Brad Jacobs rink scored 4 in the 9th and 1 in the 10th for a 9-6 victory. It was a tumultuous tournament for the Canadian team, one that ends at the top of the podium. On the long track, Ottawa's Yvonne Blondin went in her specialty, the mass start. The 35-year-old already had a gold in the team pursuit, and she already knew this was her last event in her last Olympics. She won the silver medal.
You know, today's race was a tough one.
Now, it was a disappointing day on the slopes for Canadian Rhys Howden. The BC native is the top-ranked ski cross racer in the world. He was first in qualifying, but didn't make it past the quarterfinals. Howden called it an absolute joke that the event was held with the track slowed by weather conditions.
This would constitute a canceled race on the World Cup. It's really tough when these sorts of things happen because it really takes the race out of the athlete's hands.
Worth noting, just a short walk away, the women's free ski halfpipe final was delayed. It'll be held tomorrow. Canadian medal hopeful Cassie Sharp had qualified, but after a crash, she hasn't been cleared by doctors and is being ruled out. Now, also set for Sunday, the men's gold medal hockey game, Canada versus the U.S. The situation for Sidney Crosby appears to be improving. He practiced with the team today and is said to be a game-time decision. Jeff?
One final history-making Olympic note, the performance of Norway's Johannes Klæbo. He earned his 6th gold medal of the Olympics today in the 50-kilometer cross-country race. That sets a new record for the most golds by any athlete in a single Olympics. Klæbo's medals have propelled Norway to a record medal count with 18 golds. Canada sits in 11th place with 5 golds, 6 silver, and 9 bronze. And for Canadian hockey fans, Sunday morning is the Olympic event they've been waiting for. Canada versus the U.S. in the men's hockey final. The game starts early, so provincial governments from BC to Ontario are temporarily changing the rules, allowing bars to serve beer for breakfast. Restaurants can start pouring alcoholic drinks before the puck drops. Lexi Benedict reports from Toronto on how fans are preparing to toast tomorrow's gold medal game.
Beer and breakfast don't usually go together, but Sunday morning's gold medal game has that rule being poured out.
We're able to open our doors at 8 a.m. and have people come in the building and cheer on Team Canada with us.
Thanks to Premier Doug Ford, who's allowing bars and restaurants across Ontario to serve alcohol as early as 6 a.m. It's a win for local businesses and those cheering on Canada's men's hockey team as they face off against the U.S. for Olympic gold.
It would be hours that normally our doors would be closed, so getting the opportunity to let, Canadians come in and celebrate with us is pretty amazing.
Something Toronto City Council also voted to allow earlier this month during the Winter Olympics.
Not only celebrate what's going to be a very victorious day on Sunday for Team Canada, but also for businesses and for families and friends gathering.
This team has had fans on the edge of their seats. In the quarters, Canada needed overtime to take down Czechia. And in Friday's semis against Finland, the team turned a 2-goal deficit into a 3-2 win with just 35 seconds left on the clock. For many Canadians, this gold medal isn't just a want, it's a need.
A win for Canadians would just go a long way, so let's go.
Got to beat the Americans. It's pride now. It's national pride.
Are you waking up early to watch the Team Canada game tomorrow?
Oh my God, absolutely. Yeah, there's no way I'm not.
I'm going to watch it from home in bed with breakfast beers.
Terrified, but also excited.
And whether it's here or at home, fans will be trading in their morning coffee for a pint. And bars are already preparing to make sure every tap and TV is ready for puck drop.
At the bar, ready to pour beers, having kind of select foods available, so we try to be ready for the occasion.
Everyone wants everyone to enjoy the game. We want the goal to be in, right? Everyone's cheering for them.
From Ontario to Manitoba, Alberta, and BC, it'll be a hockey happy hour like no other, and Canadians are drinking to that. Lexi Benedict, Global News.
Failure to launch coming up. NASA's new moon rocket suffers another setback, leaving its lunar mission in limbo. In Lebanon, Israeli airstrikes have killed at least 10 people and injured more than 24 others. 8 Hezbollah members are among the dead, according to the militant group. The Israeli military says it hit Hezbollah command centers. The attack comes amid repeated accusations of violating the 2024 ceasefire. NASA's Artemis II moon rocket has suffered another setback, which is expected to delay the launch date into April. The agency says it spotted problems with the rocket's helium flow during safety checks. They'll now have to roll the rocket off the launch pad and back into the hangar for repairs. The mission, which includes Canadian astronaut Jeremy Hansen, is set to be the first trip to the moon in half a century. Still ahead, a vaccine for cancer. Meet the Canadian taking part in a groundbreaking clinical trial. A clinical trial in the United States is giving some cancer patients new hope. Researchers are testing a vaccine designed to train the immune system to prevent some cancerous tumors. It's early stages, but the results are promising. Catherine Ward brings us the story of a Canadian who participated in the trial.
Lynch syndrome has been a constant concern for Kevin Heinck. His father, 3 of his 4 siblings, and himself have all faced the fate of being carriers for the disease.
Basically, I'm missing a gene. It's called the spell checker gene. My body doesn't detect mutated cells as they may start growing within the body.
As a result, fighting cancer has been all too common within the family.
My dad passed away at 65. My brother passed away at 48, and I'm 48 now. My 2 younger brothers were in their early 30s when they developed cancer.
For years, Kevin has managed the condition through regular screening.
That involves having a colonoscopy once a year and then also an endoscopy.
But a few years ago, he found a clinical trial in the U.S. accepting cancer-free Lynch syndrome patients, looking to test out a cancer vaccine.
I was like, this seems to be too good to be true.
This is a first attempt to develop a vaccine for the first time against cancer in the preventive setting and in a hereditary disease.
The vaccine is considered preventative.
The hope that by teaching, training the immune system to recognize these proteins made by tumors, whenever there is an abnormal growth, the immune system will be able to clear those cells out and therefore prevent cancers.
So far, doctors say the results are incredibly promising.
We found that basically 100% of the participants, all of the participants were technically what is called immunogenic, so their immune system reacted as it was supposed to the vaccine.
A surprise and a relief for Kevin during a follow-up screening.
My annual scope back here in Hamilton, and it perfectly clear. And that was a huge surprise for me because I hadn't had a clear colonoscopy since I think maybe my mid-20s or so.
Doctors say more research is needed as this work is still in an early phase. Going forward, the team hopes the method can set the stage for research in how to help prevent other cancers as well. Catherine Ward, Global News, Toronto.
Up next, Olympic reflection. Canadian athletes look back on the highs and lows of the Milan Winter Games. Welcome back. We're now into the final hours of the Winter Games with closing ceremonies set for tomorrow. It's been a whirlwind couple of weeks and Canadians have a lot to be proud of. From heartbreaking finishes to ecstatic celebrations, athletes are now reflecting on their accomplishments.
There's a lot of mixed emotions. Of course, there's disappointment, but also pride, and also I'm grateful for it all, but also I wanted more. So yeah, there's not one emotion, it's just a bit chaotic.
When I did land the run, I was kind of skiing into the crowd. I was basically just mind blown, and my teammates and competitors and all my friends were at the bottom. So I got to ski down and give everyone a huge hug, which was like so cool, like a super special moment, something I'll remember forever.
I was just so happy to be here, just grateful to have this opportunity to compete at my first Olympic Games.
They have a lot to be proud of. Every winter, a Winnipeg gym teacher makes an outdoor rink for his elementary school students. But with those Olympics in full swing, this year's rink is brimming with extra magic. Melissa Ridgen takes us to ice level, where everyone is living their own Olympic dream.
Every Olympic hockey player, cross-country skier, and curler started somewhere. maybe even a schoolyard turned ice rink like this.
This year being an Olympic year, we really centered and designed how we were going to build the rink around the different sports that are at the Olympic Games. They watch the hockey players, they go watch the speed skaters, and then they go out there and they're kind of replicating. There are a lot of kids that unfortunately, they just don't have access to this kind of stuff, and so this is an opportunity for us to provide them a chance to experience skating, you know, curling, all these really Canadian things.
Learning skills that could last them a lifetime.
Maybe as an adult, they're looking for something to do, and these are really accessible sports. They can say, hey, you know what, I've done that before, and I have a little bit of confidence in it.
McGurry is part of a new generation of gym teachers / rink makers.
There was a teacher named Nigel Wilcox who had been doing this for 25 years, and very fortunate he was able to take me under his wing and show me how he was doing it.
Global News did a story about him back in 2015.
It's all about children working together, it's all about fair play and having fun, and yeah, it's pretty physical.
And who knows, this could be the spark that lights the next competitor's fire.
My favorite part is skiing. I like being here. Yeah, and skating, definitely skating.
The podium here may just be a stepping stone to future Olympic glory. Melissa Ridgen, Global News, Winnipeg.
And that's Global National for this Saturday night. I'm Jeff Semple. Tonight, your Canada is Champion Alberta, a name that rings true for our Olympic athletes who are preparing to head home after tomorrow's closing ceremonies. Congrats to them, and thank you for watching. Hope you'll join us again tomorrow. Have a great night.